2 is titled Fractions, Decimals, and Percents. So when dealing with percents and decimals, we have learned to write percents as fractions and then as decimals. So if we have 24%, remember we write it over 100, and we know how to change a fraction to a decimal. 24 over 100 would be 0.24. Similar with 7%. If you have 7%, it's 7 over 100, which equates to 0.07 in a decimal. We also have learned to go the other way. We know how to write a decimal as a fraction and then as a percent. So if we start with 0.40, we put 40 over 100 because it's 40 hundredths. And then we know that 40 out of 100 is 40%. Similar with 0.05, that's 5 over 100, or 5%. So let's take a look at what that really means, or an easier way to do it. When you want to write a percent as a decimal, we divide by 100, or essentially you're moving the decimal place 2 places to the left, and then we just remove the percent symbol. If you want to go the other direction and write a decimal as a percent, we multiply by 100, or that's the same as moving the decimal 2 places to the right, and then we add the percent symbol on. So let's look at some examples. Let's write each percent as a decimal. So remember that 16%, if you think about where the decimal place would be, it would be after the 16, and we want to move it 2 places to the left. So 1, 2. So as a decimal, it's 0.16. And I like to put that leading 0 there so I don't miss the decimal, so I encourage you to do the same. With 9%, we've got the decimal here behind the 9, so we move it 1, 2 places. We need to fill in a 0 there, and we get 0.09 as a decimal. Try the next 2 on your own, so pause the video. 78%, we move the decimal place 2, and it's 0.78. Remember, it's like dividing the number by 100. If you use your calculator and do 78 divided by 100, you should get 0.78. And similar with 2%, we have the decimal place here behind the 2. We move it 1, 2 places to the left, and we get 0.02 as a decimal. A few more examples. We have 0.7%, so this is a really small percent. We want to move the decimal 2 places to the left and fill in any zeros. So we get 0.007. Number 6, we have it behind the 7 on 537. We move it 2 places to the left, so 5.37 as a decimal. For 126, we move it again 2 places to the left, so 1.26 as a decimal. In 0.9%, we move 2 places to the left and get 0.09. Or excuse me, 0.009. And again, I encourage you to have that leading 0 out in front here so that you don't miss the decimal. So now let's go the other way. Let's write the decimal as a percent. So now instead of moving it to the left, we're going to move it to the right, and we're going to add the percent symbol. So on number 9, we have 0.2. We want to move it 2 places to the right, and so fill in your 0 in the back, and that's 20%. On number 10, we have 3.84. We want to write it as a percent, so you're going to move the decimal 2 places to the right and get 384%. Try the next 4 on your own, so pause the video and then check your work. Number 11, we have 0.5%. Number 12, we have 1%. Number 13, moving it 2 places to the right, 391%. And number 14, 2 places to the right, gives us 0.2%. And again, I encourage you, if you have a decimal place at the beginning of your number or your answer, to put that leading 0 there. The last set of examples, we're going to express the fraction as a percent, and then we're going to round to the nearest tenth if necessary. So remember that we do know how to express fractions as decimals. We will have to go there first before we can just express a fraction as a percent. And in the past, we have done the tip and divide method. So you don't have to write this part down because we're not going to do this for all of these. But remember, the tip and divide method would be, we're seeing how many times 8 can go into 5. 8 doesn't go into 5, so we have to put our decimal here and change this to 50. And then we go from there. 8 goes into 50 6 times to give us 48. We get 2 and bring down the 0. Now 8 goes into 20 2 times, and we get 16. Subtract, that leaves over a 4. We have to bring down another 0. And 8 goes into 45 times, and that's going to give us our remainder of 0. Remember, that's how we express as a decimal. So this would equal 0.625. But we wanted to express it as a percent, so we need to move our decimal place 2 places to the right to get 62.5%. Now, for the purpose of this lesson, I will allow you to use a calculator. So instead of doing the long division, we're going to use the calculator and just do a simple divide. So 7 divided by 9 in a calculator is 0.7 repeating. So 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, and so on. But we want to round to the nearest tenth in our percent. So be careful how that works. We want to move the decimal 2 places to the right. So that's going to give us 77.7 repeating as a percent, but we want to round to the nearest tenth. So we look here. That number is 5 or greater, so we're going to round the number before it, the 7 I have underlined, to an 8. So we get 77.8%. So we're going to use a calculator to do the division to get the decimal, and then move your decimal place 2 places to the right to get the percent. So 23 divided by 17 is 1.35 and a whole bunch of other numbers, 3529411176. This looks like an irrational number. It's a non-terminating, non-repeating decimal. And we want to move our decimal place 2 places to the right. So we get 135.2941176%. But again, we want to round to that decimal place, so we look at the 9. It's greater than 5, or 5 or greater, so that means we're rounding the 2 up. So 23 over 17 in a percent is about 135.3%. And notice I'm using the little about symbol on the ones where I'm rounding, because it's technically not exactly equal to it since I am rounding. On number 18, 3 divided by 400, we get 0.00775. And that is a terminating decimal. We want to move our decimal place 2 places to the right. So we get 0.75%, but again it says to round to the tenths. And that's the first place after the decimal. So I look here and I see that we get 0.75. Oh, actually, because it says if necessary, let's not do that. Since this is a terminating decimal, let's just leave it at 0.75%. So if the decimal terminates, we can go ahead and go out to all the digits. But if we have to, we have a repeating decimal or a non-terminating, non-repeating decimal like in 16 and 17, then we will round. So no need to round on number 18. In class, we'll work on worksheet 7.